Hey podcaster, I'm Tim Wahlberg, your podcast performance coach, with another actionable tip so you can grow your podcast authority, generate leads, and convert with ease. Today's tip is get strategic with your CTAs. One of my first questions when I meet a new podcaster is why? Why are you podcasting? Surprisingly, this stumps a lot of podcasters, especially when I encourage them to dig a little deeper on the why. For example, if you're an entrepreneur or a business and your answer to why is that your podcast is a marketing tool, well, we need to dig a little deeper than that. So why do you need to dig deeper? Oh, I see what you did there. Look, the reason you need to get to the core of your why is because it is the one thing that will determine what CTA call to action you should be using. So in this episode, I'm going to help you review or maybe create for the first time your CTA strategy. Your CTA does need a strategy. Now gather up all those bits of your brain that I just blew and let's work on this, all right? Before we do, there are some basics you should know about your CTA. First, if you don't ever have a call to action in your show, I need you to pause this episode right now, give your head a shake, and go listen to episode 102 right away. You'll find the link in the show notes, and I'll hang out on pause here until you get back. Okay, if your CTAs aren't getting traction, it could be the structure. In episode 189, I laid out the anatomy of an effective CTA. So check the show notes after listening to this episode for that link too. Now, what the heck is a CTA strategy? The first thing that we need to agree on is that you need one solid CTA per episode. Only one per episode. You want your audience to know exactly what their next step is. If you throw 10 actions at them, they will do exactly 0. As for the strategy, we need to exit your podcast and look at your business instead. Are you actually using a call to action that supports your marketing where it needs the most support? Or are you just throwing in a subscribe now because that's what everyone does? But is that really what you need? Do you need more people listening? It might be, but it might not be. Maybe you actually need your podcast to support a different part of your marketing funnel, not just the awareness stage. Psst, that's all your subscribers are, aware of you. And if you just keep telling them to subscribe, then they'll stay nice and cozy in that awareness stage. Now let's take a look at how smooth your customer journey is. Inspect each step. What's feeding each step? Are clients getting hung up at one step and not moving forward? What's causing the bottleneck? Are there gaps in your customer journey? Do you have one step that is unsupported? We have to examine this. These are the questions you need to answer if you are going to have an effective CTA strategy, because your podcast can actually help make your customer journey as easy as a wet slip and slide on a hot summer day. When you identify the parts of your customer journey that need help, prioritize CTAs that support that step in the journey. Let's say you have lots of people aware of you, but nobody is engaging with you. You can shift your CTA to have people answer a question or share a picture on Instagram. Maybe you've built an amazing website full of resources that have effective marketing funnels attached. Use your podcast CTA to get people to that website and into those funnels. As you do this review of your customer journey and identify the most useful CTAs for your business, you may find that you have 2 or 3 that make the most sense. So, can you give people 2 CTAs? No, we just talked about this. Choose one core CTA per episode. Now I know what you're thinking. How do I choose which one? Here's the next level of your CTA strategy. Context. Let me say this again. Context. What CTA is most aligned with the content of your episode topic? What makes the most sense as the clear next step for your listener? For example, take this episode. We're talking about your CTA strategy and how it should be linked to your customer journey. This is actually something we do with our clients in step 3 of our 6-step podcast tune-up program, where we walk you through this diagnostic process and set you up with a CTA strategy. So contextually, I should have a CTA in this episode about the podcast tune-up. It just makes sense that I would say more about the tune-up, or even let you know that there is a link to the tune-up in the show notes. The last piece of developing your strategy is to take a look at your data. What CTAs have been working for you? If every time you mention a free discovery call or ask people to respond to your post on Insta, you get a flood of responses, you've got a winner. On the other hand, if your free download is collecting dust in a corner just waiting for someone to want it, maybe the CTA needs a reboot or it gets the boot. So now you have a little bit of homework. Take a look at your existing CTA strategy and assess its effectiveness, how it's serving your marketing and sales funnels or not, and whether you are using context to help your listener take the next clear step in becoming or staying a customer. And if that feels overwhelming or daunting, we can help. We can help. Our podcast tune-up program will refresh your podcast goals and align them to your business goals, ensuring your podcast is feeding your marketing and sales funnels, and will even amp up your content and performance so your podcast stands out. I'll be working with you directly. Yeah, one-on-one coaching. It's the only way we work with people through the podcast tune-up. Click on the link in the show notes and get started today. Go on. Do it. You knew this was coming and it's time for action. Click on the link and I'll see you in your first session of the podcast tune-up. Now that's what I call a strategic CTA. When your CTA makes sense and helps your listener take the next step, it won't just be a call to action, it will be an activation. And I hope that's just the tip you need. The tune-up program not only brings clarity, intention, and a new approach to your content, it also may very well change the way you do business for the better, just like it has for many of our past clients. Check out the podcast tune-up and stop guessing what to do and how to do it when it comes to your podcast. Better ROI awaits. All the details for the podcast tune-up are in the show notes and at podcastperformancecoach.com. I'm Tim Wahlberg. See ya!